Highly gifted, my jacket's thrifted. Watch me get a pattern shifted, just acting different. Living in my minutes, I'm catalytic. That's why they love to jack the style like it's on a Civic.
Welcome to episode 18. We've called it From Textbook to Boardroom, Work Integrated Learning. Look, I think the cornerstone of any higher education is it's got to get you future ready. It's got to move you to become a world-class success. It's got to do that. That's why this is called Future Ready, and that's why our aim throughout Boston City campus is to make sure that we provide you with an education that takes you from the textbook all the way to the boardroom. I mean, what really do we mean by work integrated learning? What do we mean by, what is it, first of all? Is it important to Boston City campus, second of all? And thirdly, how would I as a student see it playing itself out?
There's many approaches we can take to work integrated learning. It can be a standalone event or it can be an incorporative event. And what I mean by that in practical terms is, for example, in a module, call it trial balance, the bookkeeping, we may want you to gain greater insight into how this applies in the world of work, and an experiential moment can be indicative of it's either doing the work on the same software that you would in the world of work, so it simulates it a little bit. It could be a case study about the world of work around how the bookkeeping function failed, or it could be sending you for a number of hours or days or weeks, determining again on what's fit for purpose, to undergo the practical experiences in the world of work, and coming back to the learning journey at the end of the module, when the summative moment concludes, it incorporated work integrated learning in one way or another. So that's incorporating forms of work integrated learning into the theoretical part at the modular level. There is another view that we sometimes have at Boston City campus, where work integrated learning sits apart from a module. So it stands by itself as a standalone, call it module, which directs certain work integrated learning activity, which is a reflection of work and study and teaching and learning that's come before across multiple modules. So the example could be, we just spoke about forms of work integrated learning integrated into a module, like bookkeeping to trial balance. Now, for example, there's a work integrated learning module in the Diploma Business Management. So in semester 6, the implication is you've undergone 5 semesters of learning. You have 1 or 2 other modules with work integrated learning, but the assumption is you've done certain at the end in year 3, and everything has gone before. The task will set in motion practical application of what's come before in relation to what the purpose of this qualification is and how it plays out to your graduateness and graduate capabilities for the world of work. And again, different forms. It could be an element where you're placed in a voluntary internship at an employer, and there's a logbook and there's certain activities you undertake that relates to what you've been taught. What you've been taught, and how we want you to relate that practically. And then there could be self-reflection moments as activity and exercises. There could be a simulation element again, where you're required to build using project-based software, mimicking out a project gone awry. So different forms, but as a standalone moment that's forming a capstone of what's gone before.
Got you.
So it is key, and work integration is also not only about that, it incorporates elements of that final preparedness also for the world of work. Because your exposure not only allows you to understand the application of the theory and the skills that you've seen in theory or in exercises, but it also allows you to align to what the demands is in the world of work. So if you're at an employer where the requirement is strictly 8 o'clock arrival, strictly 5 o'clock departure, sign in, sign out, you'll go through that experience and you'll see why the employer comes and say why it's a demand for them, because there's maybe a phone station that's open, or customers will walk in from 8 to 5. So there's a rationale. So all of those elements helps you to accentuate that final rounding. So it's not just the content that you're mastering a competency around, it's also the softer areas of integrating and working with others in the world of relating to an employer.
So I mean, it's sort of, my understanding of what you've been saying is an approach is taken to make sure that the theoretical underpinning of everything that we do has some sort of mirror within the vocation that you were looking at, and then we'll give you some of those tools.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
So we'll give you some of those tools that'll help you to integrate into work when or once you have completed your study. Absolutely.
So there's also other elements that surround it inside Boston City Campus syllabi and curricula. We also append CV curriculum vitae development, the development of CVs.
Oh, nice. Okay.
We also attend to a few professional office environment skill sets. So it's part of a totality of makeup that incorporates work integrated learning.
So I know then as an employee, when I get someone that's come out of Boston City Campus, that there's also this, and I think that's why I also wanted to have this conversation, because from an employee's perspective, I want to know that there's a level at which they come out to, that they kind of understand the world of work.
Yes.
And can operate to some extent within that world of work.
So the key to me around the opportunity afforded through work integrated learning is, again, back to you as the student and how you relate to the learning. You will take out of work integrated learning what you put in.
Sure.
If you're half-hearted about a potential internship and the demands of the employer, then you're not going to take that meaning and learning from it. If you don't apply yourself to understand the keys, and there's professions around the domain of how to develop a CV, how to position a CV, how to position the content and the language to marry the employer's needs, how to position it on social media platforms, like those that serve professional purposes.
Sure.
There are many numerous industries built just around that.
Sure.
And our effort and attempt to share that with you, if you gloss past the moment, you'll step out again without the advantages of delving deep into it and making meaning from it in order to set you up for that success. I'm stating this a bit because in many instances, work integrated learning is not seen as key to the qualification.
Sure.
The key to the qualification is seen in its majors and its minors and in the constituency of all those modules, and not much attention is paid. But a lot can be harnessed from this at the moment.
I'm always reminded of within some of the craft-based stuff that is taught. We sort of think of it, and my history being radio, we very often think of that as you know how to run a desk, you have been taught, so the doing of running this particular desk, whatever it is. But there's something about watching a professional person do it that it almost feels second nature. It almost looks like the being of that person, that they exude this ability to do this thing.
Yes.
And we underestimate how important it is, to your point, to integrate into those kind of beingnesses of them. And as a student, take those things seriously, because to your point, they do allow you to eventually integrate into workspaces far easier than students who didn't.
Who did not
Who didn't, yeah.
And that's actually another great example of work integrated learning is job shadowing.
Right.
What you mentioned, to observe a professional running that day. So that is another form we did not mention, and it's very valid and very useful also.
So can you believe it? But we are almost at the end of season 1 of Future Ready. I know, it's mad. So join us for our final episode. We're going to take a look at future-proofing your skills. We're going to find how Boston can ensure that you stay relevant in a very, very fast-changing job market. We'll speak about them in episode 19.